And good evening, or good morning, it's 1 o'clock, 12:59, I feel fine. I'm here to do my wee morning show before I turn in. I hope to turn in within, well, we got 11 charts for you tonight. I want you to memorize them all. I'm the astrologer, it's my material eye, it's my God-given eye to look at these charts. It's my incarnation, it's my eye, it's my solar self, but also it's my mortal self as well, with my moon at 26 degrees 49 minutes Pisces, and my sun being in Leo at 2 degrees 33 minutes. Also, I have a secondary ruling planet of Mercury in Cancer, and what gives me my critical eye is that Mercury in Cancer square Saturn in we're in the sign where Saturn is quite confused. But the important thing about this is that my Saturn square is retrograde, so it's in that 11th house, and it's a very important placement for me. It gives me the space and time, because Saturn is all about time, right? And it's my community. It's what I'm supposed to be doing with my Mercury, with my community, with the square. And being a Gemini ascendant, it gives me like a news reporter kind of identity with a solar eco self of the lion, okay? And being that I have a Jupiter in the fourth house, and my Ceres is there. My Ceres is there as well, but it's not on this particular chart. So moving forward quickly, this short video, hopefully it won't be more than 30 minutes long, will basically help you understand my observation deck that I'm looking from, because my mentor told me to place my chart against any chart that I refer to understand how the Father, which is the Sun, that rules all of our lives. I mean, the Sun is 99% of the solar system, right? 98%, that's the Sun. That's his weight in gold, okay? So here we go. I want to get on with this right now, and I want to share these charts with you and show you how I identify with these charts. Some of the charts are actual times, and there's a couple charts that I have pinpointed through much study for. It'll be two of the charts I will share with you are my own personal charts that I've spent what can I say, many years looking for and studying to be completely sure that these would be the actual closest times in the hypothesis of the birth and death and crucifixion of Christ. It's that time of year, folks, and it's that time to think about him, and this is what I have for you. And I will show you how my chart fits to all of these charts, and then let's go at it, okay? So this is my chart. I have the Sun in Leo, and I have this Saturn in Aries thing with the Moon in Pisces, okay? Which that is my connection to Christianity, okay? And my observation of astrology. So here we go. We're going to go to the first chart I have. I have my analytical chart, and why I call it my analytical chart is that through my studies of astrology, this is the chart that I would say would be the Son of Man, right? The messenger, the New World Teacher, right? The conjunction is at its greatest. I've seen many suggested charts, but the conjunction and the grouping of planets are the most concentrated here, and the things that Christ was trying to do with organized religion. This opposition and these trines, even down to his poetic writings and parables, can be seen with this, especially with the ascendant being Cancer. Okay. and then the moon being the ruler of the chart of humanity. Okay, so this is this chart I have right here. How do I connect this chart to me? First off, once again, my Mars, this Mars right here in Virgo, which would be 8 degrees. Let me zoom up here. This Mercury right here in Pisces. Right here. This is where his Mercury is in Pisces at 8 degrees. That would absolutely be oppose my natal Venus at 10 degrees. Okay, so it shows how that Mercury feeds my Venus in my 5th house of creativity. Okay, in the house of heart, right? Because Christ, one of his teachings, most of his teachings show us how to have a good heart. The other thing is that the Mars of this chart right here would absolutely conjunct my Venus as well. His Pluto would be there as well. The Pluto would be also there, reforming. And this all goes around my Venus. So I found that very interesting. And to, think about the story of Christ and think about what was going on. I have the next chart here. And the other thing about this is that how his sun would be 3 degrees Aries, which would trine my sun at 2 degrees 33 minutes Leo. So I want to move forward. I want to just go forward. I don't want to be flipping back and forth. It takes up a lot of time, and then you get confused because there's lots of positions of the planets. Let me move forward here. Let's see. Okay, you get this zoomed up here. Okay, now the next chart is the actual Star of Bethlehem. I have a collection of stars. There's over 100 charts, maybe 110 charts I have of stars, and there's all kinds of events that I have charts for as well that cultivate around the star. So in this new playlist I'm creating, this right here is the introduction of the playlist called The Star, right? And it's my personal study for 20 years of all the Jupiter-Saturn conjunctions I could find over the last 2,100 years, right? I've gone back up. I've covered about 2,100 years of stars, maybe even more, maybe 20. As I say, I've stopped. I only have charts where there's solid data found on public pages like Wikipedia, and that is what's going to be really great about this series. This is just as I said, a really quick prep you video so you can see the dates that I have here, and you can look at them for yourself. Once again, when I look at these charts, I look at the things like the sun being at 11 degrees Sagittarius, and that would absolutely trine my Jupiter, at 12 degrees Leo, which is the sign, which is the degree of Leo that is ruled by Jupiter. Then I have things like the moon at 26 degrees exalted in Taurus, which would actually be sextile my moon. So there is these breadcrumbs that creation has led for me as being an astrologer who would do thousands and thousands of charts over a course of 20 years just to bring 300 charts or 400 charts to the fore to show you all the lives and all the individuals and all the events that have changed and sculpted humanity to be what we are today. The fourth chart would be my chart for the crucifixion of Christ on Good Friday. This is my chart for the crucifixion of Christ, that connects to my chart for Christ, and it works out perfectly. It actually marries up quite well. I will have an entire podcast of just in this new playlist. I'll have an entire podcast just reflecting on these two charts. The chart, as I said, the chart that I have for the birth of Christ, my hypothetical chart for the birth of Christ, my full explanation on that chart, and then this one right here I will go into right now. The reason why I picked this chart is for many, right? First off, if we know the story of astrology in the Bible, we know that the sun is betrayed. Where? The sun is betrayed in Scorpio, okay? And then he is pierced with Jupiter's arrow in Sagittarius, and then he rises again in Capricorn. And it makes perfect sense to me when I look at this chart this way, and the reason why I think about it, because this is at 3 o'clock, right? It's 3 o'clock p.m., because we all know that's when he passed away. It's Good Friday, it's right after Scorpio, right? This is the reason. The reason why I've picked this chart is, first off, to see how how he was hung on the cross. I mean, you gotta look at it. Here we are. Jupiter's in the third house. The planet of religion is in the third house of communications. We got Saturn in the fourth house, in the house of in the sign of Leo, and it's retrograde, right? And this is right before. This is right during a Jupiter and Saturn conjunction event. Okay, there's a Jupiter and Saturn conjunction event very close to this time, and you can see that Jupiter is getting ready to catch up for Saturn, and this is the last event before Jupiter absolutely does conjunct with Saturn after all the stars I've done, right? This is a very significant chart. And then Uranus is in Leo as well. It's a very well-versed chart, and I really like this because when I look at my own natal planets and the alignment for me and how I said it's the Mercury is sitting at Sagittarius at 0 degrees, right? So that Mercury, my ruling planet, is opposed. My natal planet is opposed in Sagittarius to my eye, right? So I can see that. And this is what's happening, right? Then Venus is there too. Venus is actually, they're both there. They're both opposed my Senate. But most importantly, what I really love about this chart is that Venus is actually trying my Sun. Okay, Mars is not far away from my personal Neptune, and Jupiter, 21 degrees, is very close to my Mercury, and it's sextile my Pluto and Uranus, and it's exalted, right? And then we have Saturn at Leo, right? Saturn is at Leo, and I said Uranus at 26 degrees Leo. So this is really this chart right here is absolutely right on the ball here. The Pluto's absolutely square my natal Pluto as well, and the North Node is very close to my Moon, right? So I was very impressed with this chart, and it really fits in with all the other charts I have, because there's this thing about me being distantly related to the initial Stuart Royals of Scotland, right? And I started digging around. I started digging around the family's backyard in the cemeteries. I started digging up all this stuff, right? So here we go again. Now the next guy on the list would be Santa Claus, and because if you're looking to see what your spiritual reverence as an astrologer, and if some guy comes to you and picks you up on the highway and tells you all these things you have to do. And they're all spiritual things, and they're all related to astrology and observation and art, and talking to people, and basically having heart-to-heart conversations about where they are. These are absolutely the charts to have for this new age that we have. I mean, which is now, as I said, we're on the crest of Aquarius here. So what we have here is Santa Claus. And sure enough, we have him here. We have his day of birth, and when we look at it, we look at the sun again. I mean, the sun again is conjunct my natal moon, right? I mean, we can't get away from it. and then we have a moon that's in Pisces, and Saturn is getting ready to cross over Santa Claus's moon, right? This is what's going on right now. And that's why I'm doing this video, because I have no time. I have to put this information out there. I've put too much time and energy to hold this information back any longer from my YouTube platform, so people can see the authenticity that I work from in the platform of information and charts that I have built my beliefs on, and how I see all these different religions intertwining, and all these important individuals in time intertwining with these charts that I have, all the way to my birth of Christ and my crucifixion of Christ. So the next we move through here, we have all this stuff going down, right? I mean, when we look at Gemini right here. Gemini, as I said, Gemini is at 4 degrees for this chart, St. Nicholas, and that Saturn would be squaring that right now. I'm sorry, I tagged that moon for a Pisces moon, but that's a square. That's what I meant to say. His moon is actually conjunct my ascendant. It's not too far from my ascendant. It's the other reason why I had the Dane Rudier videos a couple days back. Moving forward, he has a Venus that's opposed. Santa Claus has a Venus that's opposed my natal Jupiter, right? His Mars is conjunct my ascendant, right? Yeah, almost 1 degree, right? His Jupiter is at 7 degrees Gemini, which would be, sextile my Sun and my Jupiter. Saturn would be at 9 degrees Leo, which would conjunct my Sun and my Jupiter. Uranus would be there, sextile my, Sun and Jupiter. And then Neptune would be conjunct my my Mercury at 13 degrees, and then also sextile. It would conjunct my Mercury at 13 degrees, and then it would sextile my natal. My natal what? My natal Mars, right? It would be sextile that, Actually, no, it would be trine, my fault. But it would be sextile my natal Venus. That's what I mean. It would be perfectly sextile my natal Venus. Do you see how all these players are connecting perfectly to my chart? I've spent my entire year. I keep on drawing up the charts, and it's like I'm in this weird movie that all these significant individuals connect to my eye, right? So let's move on. So that was the official chart for Christ, or not Christ, but Santa Claus. And now the next hard hitter on the list. And I have many more. I'm cutting out a whole bunch of charts here because I just want to give you the highlights of how I connect all these charts to my own personal natal chart perfectly, okay? As I said, less panels, so less confusion here, and that way we're not flipping, flopping, and forgetting where I'm at, right? So, and I've memorized my planets, okay? So here we go again. First Stuart King, Robert the Bruce, son of Walter Stewart. I am named after Walter Stewart, the 6th High Steward of Scotland. My family, my little sister went over to Scotland and confirmed the fact that my family came from Loch Rannoch, and the Stewarts there were entangled with the royal clan. It's all kind of, as you said, it's very tangled over there, but very much so where Loch Rannoch is the place where it basically got organized. That's where things got organized for 3 Stuart uprisings against the Tudors, and the war was all about England's oppression over Scotland, and which denomination of Christianity was actually closer to God. Right, this was the bloodbath between the Tudors and the Stuarts. And remember, King James VI was blood relationship to Elizabeth Tudor, and that's how the Stuarts actually, in the end, inherited the throne. So when we look at Robert the Bruce, would be my father is named Robert, and then his father's named Robert, and the story about how I became Walter is that my grandfather, Robert Calvin Stewart, said to my father, Robert Arthur Stewart, well, Bob, or Bobby, what should be his middle name? And he says to my mother, he should be named after his grandfather, Walter. And it turns out that not only the Roberts' great 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 grandfather, all the way back then, is Dean Walter, right? Which is the warden of the corridor. And that's my curse. You know, people have always thought I was a RCMP person, right? Or a warden of something. And now we move forward here and we look at this, right? We actually look at this chart. Is this individual related to me spiritually? Well, let's take a look here. Over here, what do we have? The sun. It's where? 2 degrees Pisces, right? It's absolutely crazy because that's where Saturn is moving through right now. And this 2 degrees Pisces sun would be opposed my natal Venus, okay? Opposed my 5th house cusp. This is where that sun would be. And then that sun would be square my ascendant, right? That's where that sun would be. Then his Neptune, though, this is very important about the Neptune part. His Neptune is right there it's conjunct my moon, which is 27 degrees Pisces, but it's also trine my natal sun. And it's also sextile my natal ascendant. And it's also a sextile my natal midhaven as well. But you're going to see this is where things are really getting wild. His Uranus, which is my partnership planet, is conjunct my natal sun, and his Saturn at 9 degrees Capricorn, that would be trine my natal Venus. Yeah, and it'd be opposed. His Saturn would be opposed my natal Mercury, and then his Jupiter would be conjunct my natal Saturn at 12 degrees 33 minutes Aries, and then his Jupiter would actually be trine my natal Jupiter. So, in all honesty, I would have been absolutely positively related to this individual spiritually. I mean, the lineups are too exact, they're too close. Moving on to the next chart. And believe me, there's been hundreds of charts that are left out. There's absolutely thousands of charts that I have here over several chart casting programs that I've been able to be shocked for time, right? The beheading of Queen Mary, which absolutely I didn't want to bring the other one. Yep, this is the beheading of Queen Mary. It's Sunday, February 8th. She was actually born December 8th, and she's born on my father and stepfather's wedding anniversary. So when I move into this part right here, I have the sun, the moon, Mercury. I'm looking at all these, right? First off, this is the beheading, right? This is her beheading and how that would inflict me. I looked at this. And once again, we have a whole bunch of lineups here that are just shockingly close to not observe. We have a Saturn at 27 degrees Aries, which would be semi-sextile my moon. Jupiter in Cancer at 6 degrees would be very close to my Mercury in Cancer. Mars in Libra at 4 degrees would be sextile my Sun, but Mars in Libra would be only 4 degrees from my part of fortune at 4 degrees, at 8 degrees Libra, excuse me. Then we have Venus at 22 degrees Pisces, and that would be very close. That would be in perfect trine to my Neptune at 21 degrees Scorpio, and that would be also perfectly opposed my Uranus in Virgo. And yeah, as I said before, the Mercury would be completely opposed my natal Jupiter, and it's 10 degrees, right? It would be perfectly opposed. So once again, this date absolutely once again connects to my spiritual incarnation in this time perfectly as Walter John Stewart, great great grandsons of these great overlords of Scotland that basically eventually created Great Britain. We're almost done here, guys. Almost done. Yes, now we've moved up in time again, and I've looked at all kinds of charts. And I wanted to see how the Father was presenting these charts to me, because the Father doesn't. He rules things like earthquakes, right? So I wanted to see this one chart right here. I looked at this chart, and once again, the sun is opposed my sun, and it's opposed my natal Jupiter. The moon is semi-sextile from my moon. Mercury is opposed my natal Mercury. Venus is semi-sextile my moon. Mars is conjunct my Mars. Jupiter would be opposed my natal Mercury. Saturn at 1 degree Pisces. Look at this Saturn at 1 degree Pisces again. Look where Saturn is now. Saturn at 1 degree Pisces would, as I said before, it would actually be opposed my fifth house cusp, and then trine my Mars. Uranus at 7 degrees. Uranus is at Cancer at 7, almost 8 degrees, would be conjunct my natal Mercury. Neptune in Aries at 3 degrees would be trine my natal Sun, and sextile my ascendant, and sextile my midhaven. And then Leo, most importantly, Pluto in Leo, conjunct my natal Jupiter. Yeah, it's absolutely craziness, right? How all these, always, every single time, whenever I have that weight on my heart to do this, I always have a chart that connects directly to mine. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, which is the guy who he has served. Franklin has served. FDR has served more terms than any other president, and we have to wonder why. And the reason why is he's a modern Jesus. Yes, he is. The star of Bethlehem is very tight in his chart. He has a very unusual star. I mean, he's the one that gave the okay for the first 2 atom bombs to be detonated onto Japan. And here we are with his chart again. His sun is opposed by Jupiter. His moon is not too far from my Mercury. And then we have his Mercury at 27 degrees Aquarius, which would be semi-sextile to my moon. And then his Venus is opposed. His Venus is opposed my Sun and my Jupiter. His Mars would be square my moon. His Jupiter would be opposed my natal Neptune. His Saturn would be opposed my natal Mars. His Uranus would be conjunct my natal Pluto. This is him, right? And his Pluto would be sextile my moon, right? And his Neptune would be square my Jupiter, right? Look, they're perfect alignments every single time with every single significant chart that I have questions for. This is another significant chart that I brought up. This is when the Three Gorges Dam started, right? I'm not sure if this is the date. It was actually the initial date of it started construction or the finished date, but I know that we are in a Saturn return for this date, and that's what I noticed. That's when I got this. I have to refine the clipping I got this chart from, because I looked up all I could find, and this was the most significant chart for the Three Gorges Dam. And if you go on the China Observer channel on YouTube, you will see that the Three Gorges Dam is an absolute disaster waiting to happen. But most importantly, Thailand, in this China Observer YouTube channel, there's an episode, a very recent episode, that states that the Three Gorges Dam, in case that China tries to invade Taiwan, they are already building hypersonic missiles that will basically take out the Three Gorges Dam in case China tries to attack Taiwan. This is one of the reasons why the window to attack Taiwan is closing, especially with how horrible the economic situation in China is actually right now, and it's falling apart over there. I mean, in 10 years, the country is absolutely having a lot of problems, and a war will absolutely make it worse for them. And finally, last chart, we're done. I told you it'd be done really quick here. I told you I was going to be really organized tonight. And you could go through this. You could go back, do these charts, look at my charts, and you can see that everything I've told you is real. I don't make up the times. The Tempe train crash, eh? The Father shows me all kinds of times. He puts it on my heart to pull these charts up. And once again, when you look at this, I mean, the sun, where is the sun? I mean, the sun is absolutely there in Pisces at 10 degrees. I mean, and look where the moon is. The moon is actually squared my natal moon. This sun in Pisces at 10 degrees is actually opposed my natal Venus. Mercury here is at 26 degrees Aquarius, which is absolutely semi-sextile perfectly to my natal moon. Because what I've been doing and what I'm trying to show you here is that I had this individual. His name was absolutely positively Sterling. That's what he called himself, Sterling. And he told me in time 2 men would return. The father's second son would return and talk to humanity. And he said I was it, right? And so I've been my entire life trying to figure this out and trying to know the history of the Stuarts, and knowing that the Stuarts and their Egyptian bloodline goes all the way back through Christ. They say that the Stuarts that started Great Britain, this bloodline was the absolute bloodline and the original Knight Templars of Christ himself, right? So all this study that I'm showing you is to basically answer my argument with God. Am I this divine messenger, this divine teacher of this new age called Aquarius? Because some astrology says that we're not really entering the age of Aquarius, but we're getting ready to enter the age of Leo. There's always these, inconsistencies. But these are planetaries here now. These are events. These are things that have come to me, right? That have caught my eye. And seeing that my instructor has told me it's all about the material eye, and it's all about that sun thing, If the father is absolute, I am a Leo born at 26, on the 26th of July, at 2 degrees 33 minutes. I have that sun connection. And here I am, the sun's in Capricorn, and my YouTube channel, I'm working feverishly to put my YouTube channel back on track to where it was before the last 7 years. Because Uranus has been in Taurus for the last 7 years, and it's been a wrecking ball in my solar house of career, right? So lastly, when we look at this, we have the Neptune here at 24 degrees Pisces for this train crash, And as I said, Neptune's been doing a crossover dance on my Neptune, and I've been doing so much study, right? I've been talking to the Father and asking the Father for all kinds of breadcrumbs. So we're going to go deeper than these, but most importantly, I have many, many more charts to share with you. But I'm trying to show you how I'm answering my questions with these charts, and to show you how to answer your questions with the charts that you decide to draw up when you're talking to the cosmos. Because I'm supposed to be this Walter guy, right? And Walter is a hard name to live by. I've never wanted to be called Walter because I thought it was like old. That's why I've always liked Johnny, right? But no, that's why I like Johnny I Spy most importantly. It's I don't know. I think about people like Walter Cronkite and what I just don't. I'm not ready to look that old anyway. It's one of my curses. And when I was in 12th grade, I looked like I was an 8th grader, right? I was one of those kind of persons, and right now I still look much younger than um, people my age, right? But look, folks, I wanted to let you go, and I wanted to share these charts with you so it could help your studies, and to add this to this collection of charts I have to contribute to those that are reaching for philosophy in their life. All the best. Over now.